All right, we'll go through our warm-up, and this is really similar to one of the questions that's going to show up on your Chapter 7 test. So this says Chase invests $3,950 in an account that earns 2.85% interest compounded quarterly. And we're asked how much will be in the account after 9 years. Now, the first thing we'll want to decide is which formula to use. Because I do see the word compounded, we're going to want to use our compound interest formula. And this will be on your test, but you will want to know what all of your variables stand for. So the first thing that we'll look for is our P, which is our initial value. So it says Chase invests $3,950. So that's going to be my initial value. So I'll go ahead and plug that in for P. We'll do times 1 plus our rate. Your rate is our percent, but we don't want to plug that in as a percent. We would want to change that into a decimal. So to do that, we'll move 2 decimal places. So that will end up becoming 0.0285. That will be over n. N is your number of times compounded. So you should know your compounded words. That's like annually, semi-annually, quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily. Quarterly would mean 4 times a year. So we should plug in 4 for n. We'll plug that in as our denominator and as a part of our exponent. And then we'll be multiplying by time. Your time would be 9 years. Once we have that set up, we should be able to evaluate that on our calculator. So I'll go ahead and type this in. One thing to just remember, if you are using a scientific calculator, make sure you put parentheses around that 4 times 9, or else you won't get the same answer. Since we're talking about money here, that would be $5,100.33. Part B asks us to find the annual yield for this account. Now, we should know that whenever we're given annual yield, that automatically means our P value is 1 and our T value is 1. So no matter what the other initial value and time is, we're always going to use 1 for both our initial value and time. So I'm going to go ahead and take the same equation, but instead of my initial value, I'm going to plug in 1. We'll do 1 plus, we'll keep our rate the same, and we'll keep our number of times compounded the same. And then again, I'm going to switch time to 1 as well. So make sure your P value and your T value is 1. And I'll go ahead and plug this in on my calculator as well. That's going to give me this. Now with annual yield, I would recommend writing down at least 5 decimals. So I'm going to write down 0.02881. We also want to remember that annual yield should be written as a percent. Your annual yield is a percent. So when I get this answer, the way we get our percent is we ignore that 1 because we're not taking into account that original $1. And then we'll go ahead and move the decimal. So that gives me 2.881%. If you remember, our annual yield should be really close to our original rate. 2.881 is very similar to 2.85. It's just a little bit higher than that.